Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Nordic Championship. We are just about to get on to Game 3. We've sorted out the problems. We've ironed it out. We do have to announce that Bifrost have had one of their bans docked coming into this game because of the delay caused by them, but we are ready to get going into Champ Select, so we don't have to talk any more rubbish. And
we still get to talk more rubbish, but there'll be a game going on in the background.
Yeah, so, you know, you're tuning in for the rubbish talking while there's a bit of League of Legends happening.
So you can mute it and not just look at our faces.
Yeah. that's actually like psychopathic. Just staring at our face.
Well, maybe, you know, someone's deaf and they lip read, but they don't want to waste the power by having the sound on a high volume.
This is why one of us needs to learn sign language, and then we'll put them on a green screen in another room, and they can be sign languaging everything we say.
But how come one of us learn it?
Well, no, so one of us, including a scoundrel.
Oh, right.
So we have like so then all three of us are here on the show.
Yeah.
And then whoever's not casting has to do the sign language.
And just have like a mini ex-scoundrel.
Yeah, like a little ex-scoundrel. No, you'd have him
make it look like he's standing on the desk.
He's not that
big. That'd be great. Do get into bans. Obviously, Bifrost missing their first one, so there was some issues with getting on the tournament realm, but admins felt it was something that should have been checked in advance, so that's why they're being penalized, just for some clarity to his viewers. But we are getting the game underway. Obviously hasn't been a forfeit, and we are seeing the bans start to come out. Fiala targeting again with the Riven, and then the Aphelios away from Toaster. Senna going to be the answer from Bifrost.
All right, that's also Yuumi taken away here from Team Singularity. Bit of a strange ban, actually. I feel like if you wanted to ban away like an Ezreal, like you're kind of denying the Yuumi at that point, because Yuumi we don't really see paired up with too many other champions other than that Ezreal at the moment, but they do feel that they just want to deny the Yuumi here from the side of Bifrost. And now Bifrost are going to ban away the Syndra as their second and final ban.
Can occasionally see Yuumi with other champions. Lucian still works as a combo.
Yeah.
You can see, I've seen other ones as well, but ultimately that's going to be the big one. And a ban missing from Bifrost actually means that Ornn is going to get through the rotation. And this is 10.4 Ornn. So Sunfire buffs in. It does have the hotfix that nerfed them slightly, but ultimately extremely strong right now, pre 10.5 nerfs, and so a big tool for Singularity to already have. We saw before Singularity run with the Karthus jungle on mid to great success.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe looking to pick that up one more time. Now, Bifrost, they're going to get their hands on to the Fresh for Pedersen, and what else do they want to pick? Do they want to go for their bot lane duo right now? That Lucian Fresh is potentially an option to them if they want to go for something that's fairly kind of aggressive in the lane. We saw Vaya kind of default onto the Caitlyn yesterday.
I don't expect to see them pick Lucian up so soon. Maybe potentially look for a jungler for Shackle in this early rotation. Jarvan's open, which he has great success on. Gragas potentially is an option. You could even try deny the Karthus away. They're actually just going to go for the Varus, and this is a pretty typical pick for Toaster. Obviously has a lot of scaling strength on those 1 and 2 item spikes particularly, but still can be relevant in the later stages, and just big playmaking potential, but ultimately it isn't going to have as much early pressure as the Misfortune, and in the later stages of the game can be outmatched, and that is open and available. Looks like Singularity going in a different direction. They're going to prioritize the Xayah, and I expect to see the Rakan. If you don't take it here, it is going to get denied.
Yeah, you feel like the Rakan is a really, really big pickup here. You saw how well that worked in our game just before this one as well, just completely stomping the lane. Xayah Rakan will be the lock-in for Singularity. They've got a very solid team fighting comp already loaded together with the Ornn, with the follow-up engage as well from that Rakan. And now Bifrost looking towards what they're going to put in either the jungle or maybe the top lane if they want to try and pick something that can deal with Nilly on this Ornn. But it looks like for now they want to get themselves a solid jungler, someone who can gank and set up for Toaster on this Varus. Actually, they switch it back out and they go for the set.
So having a strong top laner for Fiala, it could potentially flex to the jungle or even the mid lane. But ultimately, it's something that can match up to the Ornn and sort of threaten his tankiness. I feel like I want to see from Bifrost the Karthus ban here. I don't want Scud able to play that Karthus Ornn combo. It would be really powerful. And they have a lot of priority already secured in the Ornn lane and in the Xayah Rakan lane. So that screams out to me as a big ban. For the side of Singularity, you could potentially be concerned about something coming out from Energy in terms of like the Lulu. We've seen him have success on before. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that one plays out. But ultimately, Mordekaiser are going to come out as the first ban from Bifrost. So not convinced this is an Ornn in the top lane, and you shouldn't be. They have shown that they will play it jungle for Scud, so they can triple flex it.
Yeah, that's always something you got to keep in mind if you're Bifrost. Jarvan coming out from Singularity, though. Don't want to let Shackle get his hands onto that. Great for ganking early. Good for kind of picking up people. Scoot's going to get his Nidalee banned away from him.
Not a huge fan, in all honesty. I don't think the Nidalee is too much of an issue. I would be more concerned about the Karthus being left open. It's still a farm and jungler, but one of them is much more relevant in the later stages, going to impact the map so much more just by pressing R. Nidalee can be shown to fall off. For Singularity, they could look towards the Lee Sin or the Gragas away from Shackle if they wanted to focus that more. Potentially blind mid laners like LeBlanc, but actually going to go for the Olaf in this situation. And now it's a bit rough because Bifrost can either go for a blind mid laner, revealing part of the set flex, although either pick will do that, and then let Kroxan answer. Or alternatively, they can pick a jungler, but then Scoot is in a position where maybe if he sees a jungler with not enough early pressure, he can match that. So they will, in fact, go for the Orianna for energy. Has some strong carry potential later on, can work well with the set for combos, and also a little bit of peel protection for Toaster.
Yeah, I like this Orianna as a blind pick. Now, Singularity looking to rock into something else here.
Aatrox Karthus.
Yep, it looks like that is going to be the pick, at least for the Aatroxes. We are going to be seeing Kroxan back on the Ornn in the mid lane. So they do lock in the Aatrox there. Oh, no, switch it to the Vel'Koz last minute. Man, they're baiting me so hard, these last minute switches. Singularity now, maybe looking to see if they can pick something up for their jungle. Well, looking for a jungler, unless that's going to be Scoot on the Ornn. Would you still like Karthus here?
I feel like less so. You have enough damage in your composition already, and you have like a huge backline carry. I think you potentially pick the Gragas here, and it'd be pretty strong.
I've seen Lee Sin from Scoot quite a lot as well.
Yeah, Lee Sin's a typical one as well. It depends what you want to sort of do. But Kindred actually coming out, so a similar job in terms of protecting the backline as a Gragas can do, but in a different way. You're providing another carry for the team, and also that ultimate is going to deny that strong engage potential afforded to Bifrost. A lot of scaling already picked up.
Yeah, but that Gragas has been left open, and typically back when Kindred was more meta, Gragas was the natural answer because you throw down the Lamb's Respite and the cast goes in and everyone gets flown out.
And it's great into Vel'Koz as well, because you can just ult and interrupt his Lifeform Disintegration Ray, but ultimately they're going to go for the Lee Sin instead, wanting some early pressure to match Scoot, although I feel like Gragas does that fine as well.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of missed a beat here, but ultimately these are going to be drafts sort of hammered out. I feel like we have the strength of the Zyricon in the bot lane. Kroxan in the mid lane is going to have a range advantage over energy, which can make things a little bit tricky. And I feel like there's a lot of scaling elements on the side of Singularity. I mean, that's not to say there isn't a Bifrost, but I think 1-2 item spikes, a strong early transition into a mid game is going to favor Bifrost. If you go later, things are going to get tricky because Xayah is going to be very hard to punish with the Kindred backing her up. There's a Vel'Koz as well with huge range. And then Ornn. Ornn just makes things a lot harder when those items come in. It is still at level 12 on this patch that he gets his own items. 13, he starts handing them out, and it's just going to push you ahead of the curve. I think when Toaster has his 1-2 item spikes, that Blade of the Ruined King and either the Runans or the Rage Blade, that is where you really want to be sort of dictating the game, potentially looking for that Baron. If you wait any longer, things might get a bit too tricky.
Yeah, so all about scaling for the side of Singularity. What's going on early? Obviously, you got a Lee Sin into a Kindred. Lee Sin, obviously, we know him as a better early game jungler than the likes of Kindred. Kindred wants to get a couple of stacks. Once you got 4 stacks, that's when you get the increased range. That's when your first kind of major spike on the Kindred
And then the big factor is playing around the marks. And one thing to say here is, although there's scaling elements on Singularity, this is not a sort of situation where they're going to sit back.
Yeah.
Because in the mid lane, Vel'Koz is good at contesting priority because he's not super good in the early levels against Orianna because she has the extra power in her auto attacks to sort of shove it in, whereas Vel'Koz, he really doesn't have enough kick in his abilities to match that. But bot lane, Zyricon, super strong, great contestant priority. Top lane, you have the Ornn, who obviously can trade pretty well and use his AoE from his Bellows Breath. Interestingly enough, has gone for the Spellbook into the set. So normally we see the Grass for a bit more close-up trading, and it's normally the Spellbook into range matchups or into sort of squishier melees like a Camille. I feel like your kill pressure onto the set isn't super high, but there's going to be the added strength of that. So a little less trading power in the 1v1, but more kill potential. And those summoners can come in really clutch in team fights. But I think the big thing to watch is Scoot on this Kindred. Can he chain together marks? Can he find advantages from that? Or will it be a Lee Sin dominated early game from Shackle? This game is super important if Bifrost want to keep themselves in the running for playoffs. For Singularity, it's important for them to try and close the gap up against Vipers.
Yeah, everything on the line for both of these teams. Both looking to try and find an easiest win possible for them. Now, we take to the Rift for game number 3. A bit of a delayed start on this one, but we made it.
Got there in the end. Both teams going for a little bit of a defensive start. Krogsson trying to get some poke down on his shackle.
Just gonna be able to find a bit. Get those mana foe bands stacking.
I mean, that's how, whenever I play like... I remember old Ezreal when you had Kleptomancy. I mean, I say old, it was still not too long ago. But I would always want to invade level 1 on that champion and just look for poke, because you'd get the mana flow band stacks if you were running sorcery secondary, which you would. And you'd also get the Kleptomancy stacks. And the greatest one is when you get the pot of gold, cash it in, go back, buy a potion, or just have the extra money. It was so nice. Those are the days. We love RNG.
I kind of miss old Kleptomancy. I hated it, but I kind of miss it as well.
Yeah, Omnistone just hasn't really hit the mark. In all honesty.
Klepto's so fun on Ezreal. You sit there, just farm up a storm. I understand why they removed it.
Yeah.
It was a little...
Especially when
strong.
People were using it way too much just to like passive the lane and get ahead. And actually, see some aggressive trading in the 2v2 here. By all means, you should just win out from the raw damage of the Rakan and Xayah. We didn't get to see it. I'm assuming they didn't connect on the W from PlayStation, because Pedersen Toaster massively went out that fight. And Varus, Thresh are pretty good level 1, so they can hold their own, but Xayah Rakan should come out ahead there. Do you see the level 2 about to be hit? They're not pushing too hard because Shackle's actually in position to potentially punish.
Yeah, look at Pedersen looking for that hook. Gonna already jump out, turns it back around, gets the knock-up. PlayStation jumps forward. Vayu has got to flash, but he holds it, and first blood to Shackle.
Holds the flash for way too long, gets hit by the hook, gets flayed in, and then the damage is there to follow up. And Toaster held the piercing arrow, so if he did flash, he would have gone down anyway.
Dude's been spotted out here, trying to find something onto Fiala. Doesn't have red buff, but gets himself an early slow. Fiala taking a fair amount of damage, but with that Haymaker shield, you don't want to chase too much more. You know you're not going to be able to find him.
Just wasn't a setup. The wave was in a good position to potentially punish him, but Nilly wasn't level 3. Can't use his rotation to knock him up off the pillar and the Searing Charge. So nothing really amounts, and this is an advantage for Bifrost in the early game. Shackle making the presence of the Lee Sin known. And we do see that Shackle's going to take this plus side skull where the mark is spawned, so denying that one from Scoot. And he has set his sights on the Lee Sin, so we'll need to take him down to get that mark unless he shifts it to someone else.
But now just looking to pick up the crab. The gold lead in favor of Bifrost currently. Shackle going for a counter invade into the side of Scoot. Scoot not reading this, but maybe seeing if he can find something mid lane. PlayStation will spot out Shackle though, so he knows he's here. And with the Vel'Koz moving over, they actually do keep this camp alive.
Yeah, he's going to let it reset, and now Scoot looking mid. Gets damage on the energy, but not enough to kill him or even being a summoner. This feels like it's been just Scoot's gank so far. It's like you tickle them a little bit, push them out of lane, but ultimately don't really change things. I will say though, top lane, because Fiala was zoned away, he is quite far behind in terms of farm. He'll be able to make up some of that gap because his wave is pushing into him, but not enough to close a 14 CS gap at this point.
Yeah, energy pretty low on mana, but Krogsson as well, although Vel'Koz has very low mana costs. Energy is literally used the last of his now.
He actually used his W distortion when the ball wasn't even in range of any minions, so a little bit of a misplay, but ultimately he should be able to pick up most of this CS in this situation, and then can reset with the TP and get back into lane, pick up some items, likely just to bridge that gap in terms of the mana efficiency. Vel'Koz actually has pretty low mana costs across the board, so he's going to struggle a little less, but the advantage energy has is that your auto attacks are quite powerful, so you can use that to kind of match the shove and also trade. And both of them back off. You see the Doran's Ring Amp Tone Sapphire Crystal for Krogsson, whereas Energy is going to go for the double Doran's Ring Sapphire Crystal. So a little bit more mana regen for Energy, but Engage coming in.
Flash comes in, gets himself the flay. Vayu already caught out. A knock-up is not enough. A hook to follow, and down goes PlayStation. Bifrost just annihilating Singularity at the beginning of this game.
And I've just noticed Valu's flash was burnt off camera, so ends up getting forced by Toast and Pedersen. And then it's an easy flash in for Pedersen to Lantern in Shackle. Both the bot laners go down, and we knew it was going to be rough for Singularity having their support main as their starting support as the AD carry, and then the support sub as the support. But this is really bad. This is really definitely not the way you want the game to be going. And it means that Shackle has already got a massive lead. He's able to turn this into a dragon. There's no chance of Scoot contesting. And he's going to steal away this camp in the top side, but it's not going to give him a stack. And ultimately, it's Kindred getting very little in the early game and his bot lane losing massively.
Nearly with 10 CS lead currently is Scoot. I think about to get his first stack. Yeah, I think this is a stacked one. Yes, it is.
There we go, 1 stack on the board.
Now let's have a little look at what's kind of coming down from the fact that Toaster's been able to find himself a kill and 2 assists. He's got himself the Berserker's Greaves finished up, double Dorans and a longsword, where Vayu is running with a longsword, a fairy charm, and a pair of boots.
And look at this wave positioning. It's so rough. You can't step up because you're so weak, you can't fight. You do see Shackle on the top side, which gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but if Pedersen just walks up to Vayu, there's very little they can do in return to counteract that.
Fiala did a fair amount of damage to Nili there. Nili does look to turn it around a little bit, but with that haymaker, you've got to be careful. Don't want to get turned onto. Fiala are able to push it in the way for the moment. PlayStation and Vayu finally get their hands onto this wave in the bot side, but you can see they're playing with complete fear. And once that level 6 comes through, Toaster and Pedersen are going to be able to find a pick onto whoever steps forward. Scoot find it spotted out here on this pink ward. He's going to be able to at least take this, but opportunities to gank are far and few between for Scoot currently.
Absolutely are, but Kindred will scale up. Obviously, you do want to be farming up those stacks to make yourself more relevant. 4 is the big break point where you get that extra range increase.
Uh-oh.
Really in trouble
Shackle
here.
Doesn't have kick, but they do use the showstopper momentarily. Throws out the Call of the Forge God here. Looking to try and turn this back around onto Fiala. He does have that ignite, but the kick comes out by Shackle. Nili is low. Shackle flashes forward and takes him down. Bifrost 4-0 on the board. Meanwhile, the blast code interrupts the knock-up. PlayStation can't find diddly squat bot lane.
And ultimately, Nili overcommitting on the top side, looking for that big playmaking moment when his team are struggling, ends up giving over the kill to Shackle, who's had a great early game.
Uh-oh, Scoots got his flash, but he gets hooked. Toaster pins him in place. Lamb's Respite's going to get used as he blast cones for a bit of space between the teams, but Toaster will take him out. Bifrost are just annihilating Singularity right now. That was a sad flash.
That was tragic.
That was such a tragic
He
flash.
failed the dash, flashes over the wall in a straight line to still take the thresh hook. I mean, credit to Pedersen. Played it as well as he could, but...
He's playing into PlayStation as well, so this is a real statement by him right now.
But I think that was also a statement by Scoot that he's a little bit tilted because that was not a good play at all. He does get the blue buff, but a massive penalty for it. And now Toaster, no Chains of Corruption available to use him in that earlier skirmish, which is one saving grace for Singularity's bot lane. But definitely on the back foot now. Toaster has double buffs. And actually a very interesting itemization from Toaster, who's now being threatened.
PlayStation flashes forward. Toaster just able to put some distance out. The hook goes a little bit wide there. But Toaster now looking to turn it around. Got those double buffs. Vayu just getting minced here by Toaster. Toaster doesn't have the ultimate available. Does have his heal. So he's feeling pretty confident with the Fresh, with the lantern behind him to make sure he's nice and safe.
So here's a big factor here. So because it's a new stopwatch that has been changed, the commencing stopwatch, it now reduces by a massive amount per killer assist. So Toaster already has a stopwatch available to him to try and mitigate things. Does get over this time. But yeah, ultimately means that it's going to be even harder to try and threaten this Varus. Yes, his flash is down now, but he has a stopwatch, he has the Thresh, the Lantern, and the flash available to him. Has a Chains of Corruption now available. Value's low on HP. PlayStation's flashless, and Pedersen, he can just walk up and beat on them. There's nothing much they can do to him.
Yeah, once you got those Moby boots, you're so quick. Angry Dad Fresh, as I like to call him. Walking around the map, trying to find himself a hook. Shackle placing down the Rift Tower. They're actually just committing for this tower. Now, Scooter's coming down, but they've got the Chains of Corruption into the insta-hook. The Chains look to spread. PlayStation's able to jump away, but this will be a charge going out, and Toaster's going to be able to pick himself up a fair amount of gold. So they're just forcing wave after wave into the face of the Zyra Khan. They may be able to find themselves yet another plate, but actually the turret's being threatened too much, so Nilly comes in with the Call of the Forge. Got a kick back by Shackle. He can follow up, but doesn't want to die.
Resist Silly Syndrome. Crogson was moving down, but a great kick. So the Lantern away means Toaster is still very safe in that situation. Shackle, beautiful kick to stop the Orn from able to turn around. And now Fiala, he's able to get some alone time, get a plate here. And it's a wasted TP from Singularity. They're trying to mitigate the losses in the bot lane, and they're still just losing out. And I've got to say, Shackle has been playing this early game so well.
Yep, and Shackle's going to be able to get himself a Mountain Drake as well in return for himself. We've had some very one-sided games today, Orcs.
Absolutely have.
And to be fair, the other ones, if you looked at them on paper, understandable. Singularity versus Bifrost. If I had told you last week, that this game was going to be one-sided, you would have said, yeah, sure, of course, Singularity are going to get ahead.
And then you told me, oh, but Vayu's playing AD carry. I'd be like, oh, then Bifrost. Also, they have Toaster on the roster now as well. I'd be like, yeah, okay.
Well, these are just, new factors that change, obviously, the game case by case. Oh, Toaster, he's just going in here, gets himself the chains. The Featherstorm's being used, but Toaster able to dodge away on so much. The hook goes wide, but Toaster doesn't get caught out. PlayStation, you're inside the box, and Toaster will find himself a kill.
Good setup to punish the overextended bot lane of Singularity. Without the turret there, you cannot step up that far. And Bifrost pulling vastly ahead.
What do you put inside a Toaster?
Bread.
Ah, almost trying to catch you out there.
I think I'm sure I mentioned this like the other day. Was it on cast? It was something like, I can't remember. We've seen a fight off, so we'll let that happen.
Yep, well, Fiala has got himself the Haymaker for a large shield. Scoot dumps away on the true damage, throws out the Showstopper and the ultimate. The teleport's coming down. Fiala may just have bought the time to live here. Gets himself a face breaker off as energy comes in and answers it back out 1-for-1. The following out the Call of the Forge God into the damage. The laser beam is enough to secure that kill. Toaster doesn't have his ultimate available, but he does have a fresh. PlayStation, though, also makes his way up. A lot of people joining into this scrap in the mid lane, the top side. Meanwhile, Shackle able to get some free time in the mid.
Yeah, ultimately a favorable trade for Singularity there. Energy TPing in only to die, and Vayu able to get some alone time bot to pick up some farm. So as bad as things are looking for Singularity, a little bit of a breathing room. Yeah, I can't remember. I just remember saying it to Xcandal at some point about like toasting something. But it's like you toast bread, not toast.
Yeah. Toast is what bread becomes.
It's popped back in my mind, and I can't remember whether I said it on the cast or not, but either way, you've reminded me, and now just derailed every thought of this game.
This game's been derailed for a little while, mate, to be honest with you. Toaster 3-0.
And he's on that one-item spike, the Varus Blade King, really big. But on the other side, we have the Loons for Crogson, so a lot of damage there. We have the Sunfire Catalyst for Orn, so basically he can assassinate people 100-0 because Orn.
Yeah, the famous assassin Orn.
Yeah. 3k HP, 150 armor and MR or assassin Orn. Yeah, love it.
That just means he's a good assassin. Because a good assassin can kill without being killed himself.
True. And we're on 2 stacks at the moment for Scoot. So obviously he wants to get that 4 to be pretty relevant. Because he gets that range increase of 75, which is a pretty significant one. Struggled to get himself on the map. Not quite like Aesthetics Kindred performance in his game against Singularity, where he found a massive lead. You can see Crogson potentially roaming up. Just trying to establish some vision. Via PlayStation heavily threatened here, and that tower very low. And Shackle, I think he's just going to start up the Herald. But Scooter's heading over, potentially to look. He doesn't have the ultimate, the Lamb's Respite, available right now, but it's coming up pretty soon. I think they're aware of the potential threat, so Pedersen going to move forward, contest that vision a bit, and Energy also move over to just secure it.
They do have that call of the Forge God on Nilly making his way down. Fiala does have teleport, and it looks like the fight for the Herald is going to break out. That's going to be the steal. Shockwave lands. It's a 1-for-1 already, as now they're jumping into the backline. Fiala just buying time for his team as the laser beam will cut him down. A hook goes wide by Pedersen, and it's an equal trade out there.
But ultimately, the Herald gets taken there by Nilly. He's the one who picks it up. And although it's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Bifrost, the bot lane Singularity getting caught out, they're able to throw down this Herald mid and get this tower down. So considering how far behind they were, pretty big win for Singularity.
Yeah, they might even be able to get a little bit more here. Energy going to try to hold on to this tower as long as possible, but he's going to take a lot of damage in that turret. Already low. Energy is at least able to hold his turret's life, but with the Drake spawning up, has to try and find some time to reset the wave. As this would be Drake number 3. This would be Soul Point if Bifrost can find it. A mismight by Shackle might get in his head a little bit. Scooter level ahead of him as well. Does mean he has a little bit more damage to work with. Now, it goes in for the insect, but a great flash out by Krogson. Means he's going to be able to hold his life. Shackle now flashless on the Lee Sin.
And that could have been critical. If you find that pick, it sets you up for the Dragon. Not getting it puts you on the back foot because of the lack of flash and all, but it looks like Singularity not even going to contest that one. They've moved their bot side to the other side of the map. They're just wanting to trade at this point. They'll give up the Dragon. They'll get a tower in return on the top side. That does mean that Bifrost are going to Soul Point. Now, Ocean Soul can be pretty impactful, particularly on the tankier members like Fiala.
Flashless Krogson does need to be careful, though. Shackle can find that kick, find that insect. Could be world-ending for him. Scoot finds out one as Toaster throws down his Chains of Corruption via PlayStation. Getting that time they need in the top side to finally get some farm, finally get some gold funneled onto Vayu.
He's still so far behind, though, and having a rough time. They were very split in that fight. PlayStation got caught by the Chains of Corruption and the Shockwave, just essentially instantly blown up before his quickness could come into effect. And Vayu nearly took down Toaster, but quite far down in damage. Shackle finds a smite. I think they have to be a little bit careful of overcommitting here.
Yeah, Energy's looking for that Shockwave. Is going to find it. Just about missed and dodged away by PlayStation. But now they're looking to chase. Toaster flashes in aggressively and looks for the kill. Energy's the one to pick it up. Vayu flashes away, but he is being run down by everybody. One more auto attack by Shackle is the slow they'll need. Followed up by the kick. Using everything onto Pedersen as he chases in. Shackle finds the kill. Scoot has to use his ultimate to keep himself alive as Pedersen will get picked up here. The Call of the Forge God finds a 2-man knock-up. Krogson answers back out. And now the flank coming out from Shackle. Krogson has to be careful. Gets kicked up, uses the Q, gets a shield from Energy, but they decide not to pull the trigger. Bifrost happy with what they gained there. Fiala, meanwhile, teleportless. Gonna stay in the bot lane and shove out this wave.
And Bifrost win that one massively without their top laner even there. They crushed that fight. PlayStation and Vayu just caught out again. And then Scoot goes down as a result of the fight. If you get a trade back, but ultimately it's not really going to impact things, it's just a kill onto the Thresh. It's not one of those big shutdowns on the AD mid or jungler. And Singularity, things are starting to feel really rough at the moment. 5,000 gold down, Ocean Soul in 3 minutes. Not in a good spot, and I feel like they kind of have to contest this one. If you give over the Ocean Soul, it's going to make things so much more difficult.
Oh.
PlayStation able to get away.
PlayStation's been able to dodge out on 2 of the last Shockwaves, actually. Narrowly as well.
Yeah, but he still ends up dying a lot. He is 0-4-0.
Yeah, I mean, 8 deaths as a bot lane is not ideal. Toaster now got the Rage Blade and the Blade of the Ruin King into just the Essence Reaver on Vayu.
That's a huge spike. That is the big spike for Varus, the 2 items. That's like your peak in the game. It's not that it's all down. I mean, it is all downhill from there. It's like your later spikes, you're obviously going to get stronger on, but compared to a crit 80 carry like Xayah, she will start to curve ahead of you.
The slope isn't as severe.
Yeah, but the problem is you're so far ahead in terms of items, as well as hitting your big spike. You're just too strong. He's looking to be caught out here.
Yeah, he's looking to try and turn it around. Uses that stopwatch nice and early. The Lantern has been used into the kick, and the shutdown. Scoot finds the kill. Great seismic knockup comes through from Krogson to make sure that they find that.
Yeah, it was beautiful from Krogson. The timing was there. You give any wiggle room and Toast to potentially Lanterns out, but they get a big 850 gold into the pocket of Scoot. And by all means, they need that right now for Singularity. He's still at 2 stacks, though. So pretty big hit in that regard to not have that range increase, because that's really when Kindred comes alive. It's not as significant as, say, a Kayn even needing his transformation, but it's still pretty big, because that is the large increase. When you're at 4 stacks, you get 75 range. Subsequent 3 stacks will give 25. And it's just the difference between you feeling shorter range than a lot of the carries on Bifrost and being able to really go toe-to-toe with them.
Well, little by little, Singularity are trying to close this 4,000 gold lead. But it is a battle of attrition currently. Soul spawns up in 50 seconds. Toaster's back on the map. You can see that Bifrost are trying to get control around this area. Now, remember, at the beginning of the game, we were telling you about what this game means. Bifrost need to find this win if they want to remain with any kind of hope of making it into the playoffs.
They still have hope if they lose this. It's bad.
A massive, kind of stride forward for them.
Yeah.
And also, if you're a Vipers fan, you're rooting for Bifrost, because that actually means that it gets harder and harder for anyone to take first other than Vipers, as Nilly has to flash away from Toaster. The rest of the team is still not done here. Fiala is going to get himself caught out. The knock-up and the laser beam, they are just melting through members. A nice 2 easy kills is going to be enough. Toaster is still flashless, and he gets caught out by PlayStation. Shockwave onto Free, and they find themselves the 3-man team fight. Singularity answering back. Shackle looking for a kick, but he has to jump away. This may just be the Ocean Drake over to Singularity.
And a huge win. They try and commit onto Nilly. Critical factor. He's hit that level 12. He has his own item upgrade, so really tanky and hard to take down. And they overcommit heavily into the life form disintegration ray of Krogson. The turnaround is huge, and Bifrost pay heavily. Gold discrepancy only 2,000 now. And that's soul denied for another 5 minutes. And that's going to allow the own items to start coming in. We've seen the Obsidian Cleaver now picked up for Scood. The Rabadon's Death Cap for Krogson, so that'll be next to get upgraded. And Vayu has a little bit more time. Remember, we were talking about how this is the big spike for Toaster, and they lose a team fight in the back of it because they misplay it.
Just about to hit on that, actually. Toaster, as soon as he got his 2-item spike, you kind of cursed him, and he just died 2 times in a row. All his shutdown is gone. Now it's really going to be on Energy and Toaster to make sure that these next few fights do go in a way that works for them. Shackle's trying to find an assassination off of the Krogson, but like at this point, I genuinely don't think Shackle can do it, even though he is 4-0. Krogson's got so much damage available to him. Nilly just wants to hit that level 14 so he can get the Death Crown over to Krogson as well. There is still a very fast Baron for Bifrost, and Singularity has to be careful about that, but getting caught inside a pit is really, really rough for Bifrost.
I mean,
the laser beam, the Call of the Forge God.
Both teams are pretty fast Baron, in all honesty. Singularity with double AD carry. The percentage HP from Scood not going to be too significant until he gets more stacks. But it looks like Bifrost just starting up with a 2-man. They don't have vision to contest this. They could end up sneaking it.
Toaster's really starting to cut through. The Scoot's making his way over. They think something's up. They smell something is amiss. Toaster and Shackle have been able to take this down to half health already, and it looks like they may just try to get this. There is no contest coming out from Singularity. Bifrost, their backs were to the wall from those last few plays. The Scry comes down too late, and Bifrost get Baron Nashor.
Just a great read coming out from Bifrost. They knew all the vision from Singularity was on the bot side of the map. And it was Shackle. As soon as they lost that fight around the Dragon, he ran over the top side. He took the Scuttle Crab, denied that away, got that down as sort of a totem of vision, and they saw no one had gone in the vicinity, so they just say, yeah, we'll go for the Baron. If they come to contest, we can lantern ourselves out with Mobility Lee Sin. Ultimately, they don't, and they managed to find their way back in this game. And the cherry on top, Krogson upgraded the wrong item.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. I had a guy in my solo queue the other day who upgraded my Ludens, and I was like, man, I have a death cap. Like, I'm almost got the death cap. Let me base and buy it. And he said to me, he was like, well, don't you want the additional mana? Was his argument.
I thought you were about to say...
No. I'm not that stupid.
I thought you were going to say you'd already complete the Rabadons, and you're like, why
no, I was like literally basing to buy my Rabadons, right. And he upgraded my Ludens, and I was like, bro, please.
Yeah, whereas here Krogson had the Rabadons, but for anyone at home who is unsure as to how to make it prioritized, it needs to be the first item in your inventory will be prioritized. And although it looks here, when you look at the scoreboard, as if Rabadon's is first, the way it works on the scoreboard is it goes most expensive item first. So this isn't the order they have it in the inventory. Whichever one costs most will lead. So clearly Krogston did put them in the right order and ends up losing out on a bit of AP as a result. So not as much value. And now 4,000 gold down. The Baron push is coming in for Bifrost. Trying to make the most and take down turrets.
And you can see at this point now Krogston is struggling to clear out those wards as Nili finds himself a knock-up. Fiala with a three-man dive as they are looking to chase, but the Lantern's massive. Toaster just to turn it around and just crushes through PlayStation. The flank is coming down from Energy. The laser beam starting to do a little bit of damage, but not enough to stick. And Bifrost, they're able to heal up. They're looking to chase. The hook goes wide. Energy still with that shockwave. Can't find a mark at the moment, but that was a great pick for Bifrost.
And PlayStation just misplayed. PlayStation could have used the grand entrance sooner. You needed to layer the CC better. He waited too long. By the time he dashes, Fiala had already gotten away with the Lantern. And they ended up giving that one up for free. They should have found him. Shockwave does miss, trying to find a pick on a Vayu. But ultimately, they take down this mid lane tier 2. Bifrost pulling ahead now. 5,000 is the gold lead between these two teams. And 45 seconds on this Dragon. It's once again soul for Bifrost if they can secure it.
Yeah, the resets are coming through from multiple members on the side of Bifrost. Get those wards, get those upgrades. The Phantom Dancer finished up for Toaster now. So he obviously has a little bit more defensive capabilities. It's actually a very late base out by Shackle. He's actually been stopped here by PlayStation as well. So Shackle really can't afford to base now to deal with this, as Fiala has obviously lost that Baron. So he's just going to look to push up. Actually, all of Bifrost have lost the Baron. It's timed out at this point. Nili, Call of the Forge God not quite available to him, but the Dragon Soul spawning up in 5 seconds, and turret will fall to Fiala. He has teleport so he can join up with the rest of the team, as Toaster looking to make his way forward. The teleport's getting used. In comes the fight. PlayStation looking to get caught out. They look for Toaster, but instantly turning it back around. Massive showstopper will be used here. Toaster needs to be careful for the feathers, but already found an assassination off. A two-man shockwave comes out by Energy. Toaster unable to enter into the fight quite yet, but he can fire over the wall, flashing into Scood's face as Scood throws out the Lamb's Respite. A double kill's been picked up for Shackle already. Nili being cut down as Energy takes out Scood. Bifrost find themselves the ace and the Dragon Soul.
An instant TP comes out from Energy. They're looking to end right now. Shackle's finishing off the Dragon. It's 30 seconds on the death timers other than PlayStation. I think they're just going to be happy with taking some inhibitors. End unlikely to come in yet, but a huge teamfight win for Bifrost. They corralled Singularity, who were grouped together. You saw Krogston with the life form and disintegration beam, trying to channel it with people right behind him. Just never really going to work. And ultimately, massive win for Bifrost. And I got to credit Toaster. The addition to this team, every single time PlayStation tries to jump in and Rakan, he is hit by a chains of corruption. At this point, he needs to buy a QSS because he cannot engage against the fast fingers of Toaster, who's just shutting him down. And if that Varus is free firing, you can see in that team fight, he just destroys everyone in front of him.
They didn't get this top lane inhibitor, but it is very low. The bases are going to come down. The gold's going to get spent. Toaster picks himself up the BF sword. That's the wow. Ardent Sensor picked up for Energy. He is just going, you know what? I'm missing my shockwaves quite a lot. I think I'm just going support.
Well, he's got a fair amount of damage already, and the Ardent Sensor, it's not an awful item in terms of the AP it offers. It still gives 60 AP.
That's a movement speed.
Like 60 AP for how cheap it is isn't actually terrible, but it's going to give that on-hit damage, which is going to keep Toaster scaling a little bit longer. Have the Ocean Soul as well, so a lot of mana regen available, but critically that HP regen can be critical in those extended fights. But I don't think any members of Bifrost are huge utilizers. If you see an Ocean Soul on Ornn, that's when you get scared, but still just extra stats going to favor Bifrost. And now they're setting up for this Baron, trying to get control. If you look, you can see PlayStation actually on a flank right now, potentially looking for an angle.
Doesn't have that QSS that you were hitting on earlier. Person looking to find Scood. Energy has to be careful. The Call of Forge God's being used, but the box is thrown out with a kick. Lamb's Breast Bite to keep him alive for the moment. Energy going golden, trying to buy some space for his team. Shockwave only lands onto PlayStation. The laser beam onto Toaster as Vayu finds himself a shutdown. Scood chases into Krogson. It's going to get his GA popped for the Resurrect here. The top laner's coming in. Shackle jumps over the wall. Redemption to keep Shackle alive. Lantern to get him out of there. They find themselves a kill on to the AD carry for Bifrost. A miracle pick for Singularity.
And it was just so chaotic. Scoot just dashes in like crazy, looking for the fight with PlayStation on the flank, and it works. It somehow works because Fiala wasn't there, had no TP, but ultimately they weren't able to find Shackle. Shackle has Smite available. He's healed up again, and it means they can't go for Baron. If they found the jungler there, that would be Baron for Singularity, and they'd be back in this game. Ultimately, all this has done is delayed Bifrost a bit. They'll get back on the map. They'll have some more item spikes. They'll get control again. They have that Ocean Soul still, but it does mean they get a little bit more gold in their pockets.
Shackle did lose his Guardian Angel, and that should be still off cooldown, roughly by the time... No, I think it'll be back, actually, by the time the Elder Drake spawns, or at least coming up very soon, so... Looks like Bifrost, they're going to start up this Baron. Remember, it's very, very quick with Toaster on this on-hit with a Varus. Scry's going to get used momentarily, so they know this is going on. Teleports are getting used. Ultimates are already available. Bifrost super healthy with this Ocean Drake as the Shockwave lands onto a couple of members, forces out the Featherstorm early. A knockup does land onto one already. Krogson looking for some angles. He's going to get collapsed onto already, though, and it looks like the turrets are getting taken down. Energy does some big damage to Krogson as Energy is going to be able to keep himself healed up with the power of the Ocean Drake. Toaster does find the snipe with the Q, and it looks like it's just back to business for Bifrost. They can heal up with the Ocean on the Baron.
Yeah, and the health's already regenerating just from the 2 Ocean Dragons they have. The base needs to be handled for Singularity, and this is a sign they're just giving up on the Baron without Krogson available. He was trying to find a great flank, but Shackle found him out. The snipe came in from Toaster, and the Baron secured for Bifrost. And now they can use this to push, get control, potentially get that top inhibitor and transition that into the Elder Dragon when it spawns. If you deny Singularity from leaving their base, if you take both inhibitors on the top side of the map, it's going to be very hard to contest this Elder.
Almost a 10,000 gold lead between these teams at the moment. Infinity Edge finished up onto Toaster. Sure, he gets outscaled, but he is ahead of the curve. That's the key thing in these scaling comps. You're an item up over Vayu. You're a level up over Vayu.
And you have
almost got level 16
of energy with the Ardent Sensor as well, which is going to be a factor. So buffing him, giving him that shielding when it's needed and available, definitely big factors here. We do have the 3 items from Vayu, so definitely something to be noted. We have the Banshees coming for Krogson to offer some more safety. But right now they're just pushing through the bot lane. Singularity, we're trying to push out, get some vision control around this Elder that spawns in a minute. But Bifrost just happy to push straight through the bot lane. I mean, look at that shielding on Toaster. Just make it so much more difficult to try and pressure him. He's got the Phantom Dancer as well, the peel from the Thresh. So you have to kind of caught out here, but PlayStation's to the flank. They might just look for this fight. Krogson's coming from base.
Yeah, they're looking for it. In comes PlayStation. In comes the Call of the Forge God. Toaster, quick with the fingers, throws out the chains. Good Shockwave does land on PlayStation on the backline. Fiala looking to close that gap. Gets knocked up, gets melted through. Goes golden for the moment. Nilly, low HP as the flash comes down by Fiala. Nearly slowed down by the Chilling Smite, and Toaster will secure the kill. They don't need to fight for Elder. They just want to take the base right here, right now. Inhibitor in the bot lane will fall. Fiala takes the mid lane inhibitor. They could just go for the full free, the full hat trick if they want. But it looks like they may just look to close this game out with a massive amount of minions they've got in that mid lane. Vayu trying to clear through this wave as quick and as effectively as possible. Toaster does get knocked up momentarily by PlayStation, but Toaster looks to try and turn it around. A great kick out by Shackle, and Toaster is on a killing spree right now. He's going to take out these turrets like they are absolutely nothing. Singularity are just scratching their heads, wondering where it all went wrong. Toaster finds another kill. The Nexus is exposed. 11 and 3. Bifrost are able to take down Singularity in 34 minutes.
Toaster joining onto this roster, clearly a big addition. They had the lane pressure. And from there, they just moved on. I think the critical thing to look at was the consistent chains of corruption coming out from him, locking down PlayStation at every opportunity, never went for the cleanse of the QSS. So it felt every time he started up, and you could see the CC layering potentially going to come in with the quickness, and then the call the Forge God, and then the Lifeform disintegration rate. It was just denied away by Toaster. So a really strong play from him. I do think you have to take it with a grain of salt because Singularity aren't fielding their starting AD carry, but the effect on the standings doesn't care about who's playing on the roster. The fact is, Bifrost needed this win, and they got it. They
did find that indeed. Now, it puts them very close to Hillerod. They've still got a long way to go. They are currently in 6th place, but Singularity now 2 points behind Vipers. They need to win both of their games next week. And one of those games is versus Vipers. So if Vipers can win their game, Vipers lock themselves 1st place, and Dusty actually could have the potential chance to overtake Singularity in the standings, depending on how the games go next week. And while Singularity, they are still locked into playoffs, if somehow they slip from 1st to 3rd, they are going to be kicking themselves. So I have to see how they come back next week. But for the moment, Vipers are pretty happily ahead of them. And as long as Vipers... so Vipers have to win both their games next week to stay ahead of Singularity still.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. No.
They just...
They literally can lose one game.
They need to win one game. They need to win... If Vipers win one game next week, they retain 1st. There's a lot of factors at play. Bifrost, even if they win both their games, is no guarantee that they will make top 4.
Yeah.
They basically, out of Dusty, Nordivind, and Hillerod, they need 2 of those teams to drop games. Now, they are playing themselves up against Nordivind, so they can kind of force that themselves. But if Dusty and Hillerod win their games, even if they take down Nordivind, it doesn't matter because that's 4 teams will be above them in the standing. The maximum amount of points Bifrost can get is 7. Right now, Dusty are at 7, Hillerod are at 6. So they need a little bit of help from the other teams in the league to get them to that point where they're contesting playoffs. But it's still a possibility is a big thing. Winning this game kept it as a possibility.
It's the catch phase of the Nordic Championship, though, isn't it? Every team can beat any team. It's so fun to watch. You know, we had our team who honestly looked undefeatable a few weeks ago, losing to Bifrost, who are at the bottom of the standings.
I mean, Bifrost aren't right at the bottom, and it is Singularity without Rai. So.
True. Obviously, there are factors, but it is, Bifrost with Toaster as well. So maybe Toaster's a good omen for Bifrost.
I think it's an upgrade to Bifrost. I think it's a massive downgrade for Singularity. I wouldn't expect them to win that even if they won against Standard with Take Set, because I don't think Take Set was bad by any means.
No.
If they won that matchup, that would be rough. By all means, because Vayu he doesn't look comfortable in the carry role, and this isn't a heavy criticism at him. It's clearly just something they put together because they didn't have many options available to them. But hopefully Singularity get their full roster back for next week and can look to contest Vipers for that #1 spot. At this point, it doesn't matter really massively if you're 2nd or 3rd, other than sort of side selection. But the big factor is if you can make that 1st spot, it puts you in a better stead for contesting against the 4th seed instead of the 3rd seed.
Well, we've got one more game to go here at the Nordic Championship. So coming up after the break, it's going to be Orlando versus Hybrid. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a second.